Mine was 5, by the way. 5 relationships in a row before I could fucking see it. So, it doesn't matter. There's no comparison and shame of like, oh, mine was 1 or mine was 8. If you can now, at the end of that pattern, so remember I said ego, then pattern. Pattern leads to massive pain and heartbreak. At that moment of heartbreak, you have a choice. You really do have a choice. But this is where you have to beat your ego to go into your subconscious. So in that situation, remember I told you, your ego will keep taking you on this loop. That circle continues until you spot the pattern and you spot the breakup. Breakups are such a key point of evolution for a human being, because a breakup gives you the idea, the space, the identity, and the power to be able to elevate. A breakup is a momentary break in the chain, which the universe is allowing you, yourself, your identity, your love is allowing you to make a change. Because it's very difficult to make the change when you're in the relationship, and also it's very difficult to be aware when you're in the relationship. But when you have a breakup and you've been hurt so much, the pain becomes the motivator to say, fuck this noise, I don't want this anymore. For me, it took, like I said, 5 relationships of the same kind to ultimately say to myself, holy shit balls, I don't want this fucking same bullshit all over again, because it's just gonna hurt me and rock me on my ass, and it's gonna really, really hurt. So that's when I was like, okay, now I have to step in and watch the pain. But remember, it's not enough to be conscious about it. I'll tell you why it's not enough to be conscious about it. So unless you dive deep into your subconscious, which means you have to beat that ego layer. The ego is what wants to take you into the pattern again, and the ego hates change. Well, that's why we have patterns in our relationships. So coming back to this point, now let's say you spotted the pattern. You're at this fulcrum point of choice. If you don't choose to do the deep work to go in and heal the wounds, which actually creates the pattern, I promise you, and this is going to sound very bad and this is going to sound difficult to hear, but you will repeat that fucking pattern again. I wish there was another way for you, but just ending one relationship, moving to another, that's just not enough. You have to use the pain that you felt after the relationship to actually get into your subconscious and actually work on that and say, now I need to change. Now, the biggest question you may have is, okay, Yats, wow, you're telling me this fucking magic point that my subconscious can actually help me, like, save me from these red flags. How do I get into my subconscious? That is the magic trick. You've got to do that work. But when you get into that, it fucking changes your life, and you now hit your level of dreams that you've always wanted. You get to that point to abundance. Taking time to yourself to reflect is good, but that's not enough. You have to go deep into your subconscious to reprogram and love that version of you, that little inner child version of you, because that's what heals those wounds. And then from there, when you come right into the present moment, this is the magic. You don't even have to worry about fucking red flags. You don't have to worry about red flags, because as you start to heal the wounds in your subconscious starts to act differently. How did I catch those red flags in that relationship when it ended, right? Like, so that relationship with those, I told you, with those older women, how was I actually be able to spot it and work on it? The first thing I had to do and evaluate, and here's a little tool for you guys. You have to first evaluate. Remember I said when you have a breakup, that is the best time for you to step into inner work. The best time, because the universe is giving you a break from the pattern that you're usually going into. And before you slip back into the pattern, before you attract a partner again, if you take that time to be able to just work on yourself, to go through it deep inside, you'll be able to give yourself and see so much more insight. You want to know the truth? I actually locked myself up for 3 months at the end of that relationship. Why? Because I knew, I know how much I connect with women and how much I love it, and I knew if I let myself just like willy-nilly go and socialize with everybody and connect, that I would jump into a relationship again and I would not be able to work on this and change it. But it's not just locking myself up and eating ice cream and watching TV. I created such a strong commitment and discipline to doing that level of inner work. I did a lot of my inner child work and reparenting. But when I did that, when I finally stepped out, I was very scared, to be honest, and I noticed I could see that pattern slowly, me getting attracted to these things. But then gradually, as I got comfortable and I regulated my nervous system, which is another thing that has to go with trauma work, you have to do nervous system regulation. If you're not going through nervous system regulation in your trauma work or your therapy, I love you, but it's not enough. Because the body, we are made of the mind and the body. It's not just my brain is separate and my body is separate and these are functioning separate. They're together. So your trauma, which is in here, is actually stored in here. And so you need to actually regulate. Your nervous system holds on to trauma. You need to do the work to be able to regulate and balance your nervous system so that you can start releasing all this trauma. But the biggest ways that I use every morning for myself is I do breath work, meditation, grounding. There's so many different ways you can be able to step into it, because you're trying to recreate how your nervous system feels and survives. And the more you do it, the more regulated your nervous system becomes, which ultimately helps you release that trauma more and be in the present so much more. So when I got out and I started regulating my nervous system, it's insane. I cannot explain to you how. It's almost as if some magic happened, but literally there wasn't a single older person that entered my life and in relationships anymore. And it was insane because they're beautiful people and they have so much to offer, but they were just not giving me what I wanted. And that was red flag after red flag after red flag after red flag. So the truth is, spotting a red flag is not as obvious or easy unless you're willing to actually go in and do the work. Everything beautiful in life is work. Everything beautiful in life is work. It's not a struggle, but it's work. It should not be. A relationship should not be a struggle, but it should be work. All the beautiful, happy things, when you make abundance in your life, it is work. You work towards it. You work toward changing your beliefs. So if you really want to change the way you live and attract something different in your life, you need to actually step into doing the work. And it doesn't have to be a struggle. It doesn't have to be bad. It can be beautiful. Those 3 months at the start were ugly because I was dealing with the shit that I was sitting in. But bit by bit, the job of reprogramming my subconscious and my inner child into loving myself was so fucking beautiful and phenomenal. Hey, and welcome to the Inner Yats YouTube page. If you like our content, make sure you click the like and the subscribe button so that you get more of these amazing videos that keep coming your way.